Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the second in our Wednesday webinars, orienting you to life with us at VIU and life in Nanaimo, also getting here as well. So this is for everybody starting in fall 2023. We always begin by acknowledging the territory on which we stand. And today is National Indigenous Peoples Day in Canada. So it has special relevance for us all. And we say that in a good way, we acknowledge and offer gratitude for the privilege of gathering, learning and serving in the unceded territorial territory of these Nanaimo, Cowichan and Tla'amin nations. And we acknowledge and offer gratitude for the opportunity to work towards right relations among the First Peoples of Turtle Island and the settler members of our community. We are one, and I encourage everybody to learn more about that when they arrive with us. Today, we are joined by, well, firstly myself, Michael Whitcomb. Mac Ogashiva is our International Student Advisor for Academic Matters and Immigration. Rayan Zenadine, am I saying that right, Rayan? Thank you very much. We'll be looking after a presentation and questions about on-campus residence, and Mohammed Hoamde will be looking after student advising academic and immigration matters. So welcome everybody. These are my wonderful colleagues and it's smashing to be with you today. Little bit of housekeeping. First of all, before we start, everybody should be aware that this session will be recorded, broadcast on Facebook, and also available through the international Facebook channel later for people to watch if the time zones are not right for them at the moment, or just to review information. Also, we will be having polls and questions throughout the session, asking you just to input and look out for that symbol there, which will let you know when we're asking questions. I'm just popping something into the chat box as well here because so hopefully everybody can see that. The chat box here is for us to put links to the things we refer to during our presentations. And we would ask that you please do not use the chat box to share personal information, but rather any questions that you have about the subjects on which we're speaking, please put those in the Q&A, and they will be grouped together into relevant groups of questions towards the end of the session today, and hopefully we'll be able to get through those and answer all of your queries. Okay, and really there's a lot of information coming at you today. You can go back, you can review it, but please, use this as a signposting and enjoy as part of your welcome to VIU. Super. Thank you, Mac. We're going to begin with some pre-arrival academic support. So I believe this is over to you, Mac.
Yeah.
I'll be back.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this webinar, and hope to see you all on campus soon. These are important information. We would love you to pay attention to this because it's very helpful and it's a great information today we'll be passing on to you. So how you'll get ready to start your academic year at VIU. First of all, you're doing a great job attending this Wednesday webinar series, which is great. And the other step would be completing online course. We call it International Ready, Set, Go, Launchpad to Success at VIU. That is basically pre-arrival guide for you. You can access this online course through your VIU Learn account. It's very important, and I would highly encourage you to review that and try to go through all sections of that online course we have prepared for you. And the other key step would be enrolling in classes simultaneously for fall 2023 and for spring. But not all students have to enroll to classes because master's programs and a few other programs, we will enroll you guys automatically to the classes. So please pay attention to this webinar. We will give you heads up which programs enrolls you to classes automatically, which programs doesn't, and you have to enroll yourself. And then that online course, International Ready, Set, Go, that is a pre-arrival guide for you. So you'll learn more about what it means to be a student at VIU, and you will learn how to select courses, how to register to classes, and also important services available at VIU. So you will learn what kind of services are available for you. And you'll increase your knowledge about Canadian culture. Learn about the challenges and opportunities moving into another culture, in this case to Canadian culture, and become more prepared to be successful at VIU as a student. So please pay attention to this information. So our orientation session will be in August 29. Mark this in your calendar. Today, we are providing you second session, online session, pre-arrival webinar. Accommodation and arrival planning will give you the core information about accommodation and arrival planning to Canada. And then third session will be on July 19th. That will be Rock VIU and Cultural Connections. That also will be so core information because you're moving into new culture, Canadian culture. And also we will provide another webinar for you guys that will be a bonus webinar, and that we call Ask Me Anything. So whatever question you might have about your studies in Canada, about the tuition fees, arrival to Canada, and anything you are thinking, to get more information, we would be happy to provide you. So that will be in August 2nd, 2023. Now I will pass on the torch to my colleague, Michael, to take over from here, and he will talk about accommodation and arrival planning to you. Thank you. You are muted, Michael. You are muted.
My apologies. Sorry, I put the video back on. There were a couple of messages that we are posting in the chat, which are intended for everybody, but it might be Mac. I think you may need to be sharing those with everybody, as we only have the hosts and panelists option. I don't know if you can do that while I'm talking away here. Thank you. Great, that's super. So I can see over 60 people are joining us today, which is wonderful. And also, scrolling down the attendees, I can see a few names of people who have been in touch with me in the last couple of weeks or more about their housing options. So that's great. By the time you arrive, you should all be experts in local housing and accommodation, I hope. However, let's just start with a bit of a poll and find out from everybody if you have booked housing, and if so, what housing have you booked? Could be on-campus residence, could be off campus, could be with the homestay network. So if we could launch that poll now, and we'll see what preparations everybody's made already.
Yeah, I'm trying to, find the poll. Doesn't seem showing up here. Sorry, Mike.
That's okay.
Michael, it's not showing up. I'm not having a poll link here. Usually it shows up, and you just launch
Is there
it.
A more,
it's
more
not there
button on the bottom. Okay.
Okay, I guess we can skip this.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Not to worry. That's okay. It's really just to get everybody's attention and just to sort of think at the moment, crikey, if I've not booked accommodation already, then I really now should be thinking about it. And these are our main three options, right? So Rayan's going to talk to you a little more about on-campus residence. I'm going to point you towards the Canada Homestay, guys. Oh, there we go.
It came up,
Okay, everybody.
Interesting. It didn't show up. So
Take 20 seconds or so to include your vote.
No, it's not giving. Something is not working here.
We've got a gremlin in the
Michael.
machine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not to worry.
No, it doesn't turn on. It doesn't give me the link even. Do you see anything, Michael, there?
I can see the poll on my screen, but and also that I can't vote. So attendees should be able to vote on this.
Yeah, we're getting quite a few votes in. I can
Okay.
see. So let me know when I can end the poll.
From my end, I cannot end the poll. Ryan, Michael, do you see
Yeah, should I
the
end
end
it now?
button?
Is that enough time?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay,
Let's have a look.
there you go.
Just get an indication about what sort of preparations people have made already.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
So the vast majority of people
I
haven't
haven't
booked anything yet. Rayanne, you can speak about deadlines for residents and so on, if anybody still has that in mind. However, I'm suspecting that now most people in that 68% of haven't booked yet are going to be looking at off-campus or potentially homestay as well. Okay. Righto. So let's focus on the off-campus housing, I think. Let's jump straight into that one. So this is my area. If we could jump onto the next slide. Thank you. Oh, hello. Rayanne, are you speaking first on residents?
Yes, of course.
Okay, there you go. So Rayanne, I'll talk to you first about residents. I'll jump
Welcome,
backwards.
everyone. It's a pleasure to be with you today. My name is Ryan. I'm Housing Admissions Coordinator at Residence. And I just want to give you a brief introduction of Residence. Residence is very conveniently located on campus. It's just 2 minutes away from the main buildings. It is managed by VIU, and it provides you with that social atmosphere as you travel to a new place. And it also has some residence life events that are year-round. So living at Residence, you're automatically in the Residence Life program. We have here, I'm speaking to you today from Building 4, the Cedar Center. It is the main administration hub with our front desk staff here. Okay, I can see here there's a poll question. If we can launch it, Mike. Have you received a room offer from VIU Residences?
Mike, may I request you to launch it so I don't see it from my end?
Yeah, I'll launch it.
So from the previous poll, we had 9 students that indicated they have a booking with Residence. Let's see how many received a room offer.
There you go. Should be available.
Thank you. So this could be for fall only or for the full academic year. Okay, let's conclude the poll and see what results we have. Okay, so we have 6 individuals have received a room offer. Congratulations. And 43, you might be on a wait list. You might be on the way to get that room offer. So we will keep rolling room offers throughout the summer. Okay, thank you. So let's move on and see what we have on the next slide. Okay, so the portal is the website where you can log in and do many different things. You can apply for residence, you can pay your fees, put in a maintenance request when you're living here, and even submit a cancellation or withdrawal request. Recently, you can also see your waitlist number on the portal when you log in. It'll be on the first page. So here's the room offer timeline. We have Here's the summer of 2023 laid out in this timeline. Okay, so we did have a deadline to accept the first round on May 31st. We did room selection. We're almost done with room selection. We still have 2 days, and then whoever did not select a room will be allocated one by the end of the month. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so our location, most of you would probably be arriving at the Vancouver airport. So you would be in Vancouver. You haven't arrived to the island yet. So Nanaimo is located on Vancouver Island. There are different ways to get here, either by airplane, seaplane, or ferry. Okay, let's move on. So in Nanaimo, this is the map of Vancouver Island University. And in the pink rectangle there, you can see where residence is. So it is right on campus, very convenient, and an excellent location. So we have 10 buildings, a total of 541 beds. 240 of them are single rooms. And we have different room styles: modern singles, traditional single, modern double, or micro double. And so here we go. We have a schedule for the orientation that will take place from August 30th to September 3rd. So that will be a full week of fun activities, meals, as well as lots of orientation related events. Okay, and we will, of course, share with you the link for orientation later. What are the move-in dates? Officially, we have August 30th and September 3rd. These are the main 2 move-in dates. For students attending orientation, you will be able to move in on August 30th. For students that are not attending orientation, you can move in September 3rd. We do have some exceptions to that. For international, MBA, and culinary arts students, they can move in a few days earlier just for their orientation. Okay, so to know more about residence, everything would be found in our website. And I tried to highlight it in red. The menu button will be on the right-hand side, and that will show you everything contained within the site. We have the student handbook, which you can also download from our website. And finally, the residence agreement, which is more about the legal matters. Okay, thank you. Over to you, Michael.
Thank you very much indeed, Ryan. Just scribbling down notes for a couple of questions that popped up in the chat as well there. So if you're not staying on campus in the residences, then you will be looking in all likelihood for off-campus housing. And this is me, Michael Whitcomb. I'm technically part of Student Affairs. I used to be with International, but we're basically next door to each other, and we keep close contact. And I also keep close contact with Rayan and the team over in residences, of course. But if you want to come and find me, I'm in building 255, which is labeled International Education. Walk-in appointments, if I'm available, booking appointments, or simply emailing me are always options. I'm very happy to help anybody out with any questions about renting at all. My general purview is for all areas of housing support before, during, and at the end of your time renting. So there is a link here to the student services landing page for all of the accommodation options, either residences off campus or homestay. Homestay takes you to the exterior provider, Canada Homestay Network. That's not VIU. But if you are thinking, I'll just throw this one into the mix right now, of applying for homestay, I have it that the deadline for processing of application fees is July 1st, which is about a week away. So if that's your option, get onto that now. I can't guarantee what availability they have, what hosts are free. However, you know, I would do that sooner rather than later, of course. I will give you that link as well for that landing page. Just bear with me for a second. Okay, there we go. There's the landing page and also my immediate page and also my email address as well. So all of those will get you to me. Okay, if you go onto the off-campus page, you can either get there through that link, or anywhere on campus you see this QR code, or just simply Google VIU off-campus housing, you'll find me. Thank you very much. Let's have the next slide. When you get onto my page, you'll see this. You've got 6 options of sub-pages. The one that most people want to go to, of course, is how to find rental properties and roommates. And I'll come on to the others in a moment. But if you click on that find rental properties and roommates, if I could have the next slide, please, you will see this. Right at the top of the page is our preferred listing service, placesforstudents.com. This is preferred by us because we have a partnership with them. Landlords pay a little bit of money, unlike Facebook, Kijiji, etc., which are free. And therefore, we tend to find that there are no scams on this site so far. So good. And the people listing their properties are really only interested in students coming to rent. But because they have to pay a little money, there are fewer listings on that site, of course. However, I'm just starting to see that pick up. Last week, there were around about 15, 16 listings on there. Over the last couple of days, more like 25 to 30. So we're just starting to pick up into the summer period of more activity on that site. Below that, you'll see all of the other regular places that we know, including, for example, the pet-friendly Facebook group, which is very valuable for people coming over with their dogs and cats, increasing amounts of people. You will see that if we'll come on to sort of RTA, non-RTA, which is the Residential Tenancy Act. It's the law that governs renting privately. But if you're living in with a landlord, as a basic rule, sharing a kitchen or bathroom with them, then you're not covered by the law. I would encourage people to get a paper agreement with their landlord, and I've drafted a copy for you. You can download a PDF, complete that with your landlord if they are happy to do so, and then you have everything nice and clearly down in writing before you begin, if you're living in a room in the landlord's house, for example. Below this page, you'll see some resources for scam tips. So if you're coming in from abroad and you see a listing that looks great, but you're not sure, you think it might look a bit too cheap, or it looks too good to be true, or the landlord's not available to give you a video walk around or something like that on their phone, you might be thinking, is this a real listing or not, before you send your deposit from abroad. So having a look underneath that, you'll see lots of scam tips as well. Use a few of those just to set your heart at rest that it is a real listing. Okay, if we could have the next slide, please. Equally so, if you are sharing with roommates, you could be in with a landlord, but likely you're renting a house together. It's cheaper for 2 or 3 or 4 people to share a house together, of course. And if you've not met the people, you don't know how you're going to live together, you want to get off to a good start, I would encourage you to use our roommate's guide and agreement. Just gets down all the basics: who's going to take the garbage out, how do we share the bills, and how much deposit did we pay, etc., etc. Just in case there are any problems down the line, you've got it down on paper. I'd encourage you to use that. Okay, next slide, please. Bit of background for renting here. Rent prices at the moment in Nanaimo can range from around $650. I've known people rent a little bit cheaper, but that's usually sharing with maybe 5 other people in a house. So generally speaking, $650-ish to around about $1,200. I think still $850, $900 if you've got a couple of roommates is reasonable to expect for your budgeting. Don't forget you'll be paying a security deposit, which should never be more than half a month's rent. I'd encourage everybody to get renters or tenants insurance just in case you accidentally cause a little damage while you're living there. Or there's a natural disaster or something like that. If you're living on your own, then you are likely to be needing to pay for utility installation, electricity, internet, that kind of thing. And in Canada, if you are renting a place on your own, and indeed sometimes for a multi-bedroom property, just double check that the place is furnished. Landlords targeting student renters will, 99% of the time have the beds and the sofas and so on in the property. But private landlords over here, typically for a domestic renter population, don't furnish the population. You'll get the fridge, the cooker, really not much more. So just double check with the landlord before you sign. Certainly landlords should not be asking you for application fees or checking fees to look at your credit score, that kind of thing. If in doubt, please ask me. Next slide, please. So Nanaimo, like a lot of Canada and a lot of the world, is suffering low vacancy rates at the moment. We'd love it to be around about 3% vacancy rate, but it's around about 1 at the moment, which means there are significantly fewer properties to rent than we would like. It means that, there's just a big demand for rental properties from people with about the same amount of money as students to pay for rent. And it means that, you and younger families moving to the city from Victoria, even from inside British Columbia, are all looking for rental properties at about the same price range. However, we are starting to see a bit of a pickup in listings. We're starting to see more activity, probably because we're coming out of the pandemic and interest rates are high on people's mortgages. So landlords are looking to make a little bit more money and putting properties back on the market or rooms back on the listing sites. So you need to be promoting yourself. Think of it like you're going for your dream job. A good cover letter, character references, or past landlord references are essential. Those two to start with. A VIU enrollment letter is great, tells landlords you genuinely are a VIU student. If you want, you can tell landlords about your budgeting, so they know you're serious about your plans. Any proof of finance, it's not mandatory, but a landlord can ask for a credit check, and reasonable identification to let them do that is normal. That's fine. I definitely, try to understand some more about British Columbian tenancy rights and responsibilities, and let the landlord know that you know this and that you're going to be a responsible renter and a good neighbour. I've got the VIU RentWise course coming up, which some people, I'm happy to say, are going to be attending. If there's enough demand for that, then please, it says Renting It Right, which was the old course there. I'll need to update that, but unfortunately they don't exist, and therefore we're offering RentWise. That's Rent Smart. Renting It Right does exist. That's online. If anyone's any questions about this, ask me, or get in touch with International as well, and ask about more courses or myself, and I can program in a couple more. Always try and speak with the landlord if you can. Okay, renting with roommates, cheaper, of course, but then you might be sharing with people you don't know. Pros and cons, have a think about it. I've got guidance on the website, but certainly I think for the vast majority of people, it's what makes financial sense. On our site, we've got links for where to go looking for roommates, questions that you can ask roommates before you join forces together. But I'd certainly think about, if you find a couple of 3 other people that you really want to share with, then put a cover letter together as a group and present that to a landlord as one group of people. Here we are, we're 3 students, we're looking to rent your 3-bedroom property. That makes the landlord's job a lot easier, and therefore increases your chances of renting that property. So, search WhatsApp groups as well. LinkedIn groups. I know students have found people off their program, people in their cohort that are in LinkedIn groups as well. Lots of creative ways of finding roommates. And again, that roommate guide and agreement, I'd encourage you to use that. Thank you. Other things that people find useful on our site are first of all, on the top right there, housing, education and resources. That's got, if you don't have time to come to one of my courses or do the Renting It Right online course, I've got, condensed information on there, 4 short videos that you can watch, and linked resources to everything that I can think of that's going to be useful for you. If you're really stuck when you arrive and you just don't have anywhere to go, then temporary accommodation can be an option for you. I can point you towards hotels, for example, that can put you up for reduced rates around about 30-day stays. Bear in mind, it's still holiday season when everybody's arriving in August, September. So it's difficult to negotiate cheap rates with people, but 1 or 2 places have done a nice job in reducing their rates for us if you're really, really stuck. And if you do down the line get into a dispute with your landlord about something, about deposits or about anything to do with your tenancy, please come to me. I'm pretty up to speed on local tenancy law, and I can help you out with the information that you will need to helpfully resolve your situation. Thank you very much. this is the RentWise course, and these are the topics that I will be covering in a 2.5-hour session with people. So if you've signed up to that, great. I look forward to seeing you and hopefully answer some of your deeper questions. But I think, you know, people going to a landlord saying they've done this course, the landlords can check with me that they've done it with the student's permission, and that can, you know, certainly be a nice badge on your belt. And something to include in your cover letter. Landlords know that you're serious and you're up to speed about who does what around the property, for example, maintenance issues, that kind of thing. Right at the end, and I'll just put this thought in your head now, if you're renting privately, you know, in the last 6 or 8 weeks before you move out, just find out a bit more about moving out information. Ending a tenancy well, nice and tidily, can mean, you know, you looking at a nice, easy return of deposit, and importantly, a good reference from your next landlord for the next landlord after that, you know, and start to build up that credit history. Ryan touched a little bit on travel. So these are the links that I tend to send to people as well. I put them in the chat before, but I'll do it again. So ways of getting to here and ways of traveling around here once you arrive. I do still get some students saying, well, can I just get a bus from Vancouver to the university, not realizing that we're quite a long way over the sea. So if I could have the final slide, please. I think that's just me tying up and saying thank you all very much. You know where to find me, and, you know, please use me for all of your accommodation off-campus questions. Thank you very much.
Hello, everyone again. This is, I am Mac Ergashiva. I am, as my colleague said, academic and immigration advisor. Registration, what does it mean? Registration means you literally enroll to the classes, but there are some programs to which you will be enrolled automatically. But most undergraduate programs, you need to select your courses and enroll yourself. So full-time, I will be explaining how you will enroll to the classes in later slides, but full-time enrollment at VIU, you need to be enrolled at least 9 credit courses. That is usually 3 courses in a semester for both undergraduate and graduate levels. As an international student, you must maintain full-time enrollment if you are planning to work off campus. And qualify for postgraduate work permit afterwards. Some of you are exchange students who are coming for 1 semester. Those students most likely will come on visa, and you would not qualify for working off campus. Working off campus without permission or authorization, it will be illegal. Many of you in undergraduate programs, you have made initial tuition fee 2,500 that will be used towards your courses. You may enroll up to 15 credit courses, which is usually 5 courses. And that is heavy course load. And for the students who are just coming into Canada to undergraduate level, I would not recommend to enroll 15 credit courses. Rather, maybe, you know, having 4 courses, 12 credit worth courses would be good idea to start with. So how to register at VIU? So I would recommend you to watch this, you know, web registration tutorial at VIU website or from your student record. When you go to, you know, student record, you will see on the right panel the, you know, web registration, financials, and etc. In web registration, when you click on that, you will see the web tutorial there at the bottom of the page. I would highly recommend you to watch this. At the moment, I'm not, you know, launching this tutorial video because it takes a few minutes of time, 3 to 5 minutes, I would recommend you to go to VIU website and search a web registration tutorial and watch that video, please. And important resources. I launched this, I pasted this to chat box already, and you may copy these links. How to build timetable. What is a timetable? Timetable is selecting your courses and getting your course schedule. And reserved seats, you don't should not worry about that. You need to try to enroll to courses. Those courses, the course reservations already has been lifted. And if you are, let's say, in Bachelor of Business Administration program, if you are waitlisted, you will get priority in that program. And course waitlist. If you enroll to the course and it says you are waitlisted, and number 12, don't worry about that. So you will get enrolled to that course. But if you are waitlisted 34 or more, then you better drop that course and select another one. More details in this links. So I pasted this links to the chat box. I would recommend you please to copy those links from the chat box. Programs with set course enrollment. Those programs will be, if you are master's program student, MBA, Master of Education Leadership, or any other master's program, don't worry about course selection. You would not select your courses. You will be automatically enrolled to the classes. If you are bachelor's degree student and enrolled in hospitality management, again, you don't select your courses. You will be enrolled automatically to those courses. Recreation and sport management, tourism management, culinary arts, early childhood education, engineering transfer diploma, fisheries and aquaculture, information technologies and applied systems, you would not select your courses. You will be enrolled automatically. So please keep in mind, if your program is not listed in this slide, that means you need to select your courses for fall as well as for spring. So make sure you will select your courses and enroll to those courses in advance. We have at VIU set enrollment and select course enrollment. As I explained in previous slide, set course enrollment, those programs I listed in previous slide. So you will be automatically enrolled to the classes. You should not worry about the selecting courses, especially master's programs. And hospitality management, tourism, culinary arts, your program is a set course enrollment. You should not worry about anything. But if you are Bachelor of Arts program student, if you are a Bachelor of Science program student, then you need to select your courses and make sure in each semester you will select at least 3 courses, 9 or more credit worth. Then you'll be full-time student at VIU. It's very important to be full-time student if you are planning to work after classes. So course delivery options. At VIU, we have many different types of course delivery. But when you enter Canada on study permit, that means you need to enroll to face-to-face classes. Otherwise, for the online courses, you would not need study permit at all and come to Canada at all. So therefore, when you select your courses from your web registration, there is a timetable. It shows course delivery options for you. So you have to tick off the courses which says in person. In person, you need to tick on in-person one, and blended synchronous, online, and online asynchronous. You need to, tick those courses off, and I would highly recommend to enroll in-person classes. Prerequisites. It's very important for you to check prerequisites. If you have selected courses and it all says prerequisites, it gives prerequisite warning, so that means you may not qualify to take that course. So that being said, if you are a high school student just graduating and haven't got your official transcripts yet, that means it may show prerequisite warning. In that case, don't worry, contact international admission or us, academic advisors. We will assist you and check for you if you qualify to, to take that course, to be enrolled in that course. If you think you met all prerequisites, you have high school classes, prerequisites, you have finished grade 12 English, all that, then don't worry. So you will provide your official transcript, and then you will be enrolled to those courses. And if you are coming from another institution and you have taken that course, similar course or the same course in home country, you can still ask from your instructor waiver of the prerequisite from that course. If you are not meeting the prerequisite for the course, let's say you have chosen 200th course, then you need to drop that course. You are not qualifying to take that course. Important dates. Your classes starts on September 5th. Make sure that you will arrive earlier than that. So I will provide, as I mentioned, the important dates. Orientation session for the international students starts August 29th. Make sure that you will attend international student orientation, because we will provide you a lot of important information. September 1st, your classes starts. If you're not showing up in the class in the first day of the class, even if your plane is coming late, or you couldn't secure the ticket for the arrival of earlier than that day, make sure that you will contact your professors and inform and try to keep those seats in the class. If you're not showing up in the class first day, you will be automatically announced as a no-show. No-show means you have been removed from your class. So September 13th, last day of active waitlist. So until that day, you can replace the course. So you enrolled to the course, you didn't like for some reason, you can still replace that course with a different course and attend another course. So September 19th. September 19th is a fee lock-in date. If you decide to replace your course after September 19th, you'll be charged more extra. So therefore, try to keep in mind, it's important, if you're trying to replace your course, then do it until September 13th, not later. Then afterwards, you'll be charged money, extra money for that class. Travel arrangements. So we will go to, so may I ask Mike if we can launch the poll for this one? So I would recommend you guys just respond to this poll. Let's see who's ready. I'm attending VIU for less than 6 months. Okay. Okay. Study permit approved. It's looking good. 42% study permits was approved. This is really good news. 19% of students are still waiting. 9% of students have got their study permits. They have valid study permit. That is good. 20% of students are attending, exchange students are attending less than 6 months for 1 semester, whom we always welcome and happy to have you guys. 2% of students said their study permit was refused. If study permit was refused, please don't panic. So you can defer your studies or request a refund with that, providing that refusal letter. So this is good news. We have a lot of students, 43% of students got study permit approval, which is great. And small percentage got study permit a refusal. For those students, I would recommend, one student said, so I would recommend, to think about if you wanted to request refund, you could do so. Or if you can request from admission office a deferral, and with a deferral, you can reapply again for study permit. So study permit, visa, ETA, majority of you, as I saw from the poll, 20% of you exchange students, most likely coming from Europe. So you will have ETA, which is great. It's easy, and so it's valid for 5 years. You need for that, for the visa required countries need visa sticker on their passport. So you need letter of acceptance for that and proof of sufficient funds to come to Canada if you are coming with your family. And for family also, you need, sufficient funds. For one student, for living expense per year required by law is $10,000. If you're coming with your spouse, you need to add $4,000 on the top and show $14,000. Upon your arrival, so you will come to Canada with an introduction letter. You will provide that introduction letter along with other documentation you have, and you will be issued study permit at the airport upon entry to Canada. And if you are MBA student or hospitality management student, you will be issued study permit as well as COP work permit. Please keep in mind, COP work permit is not real work permit. That is valid only for the internship practicum period only. Study permit is required to attend to face-to-face classes in Canada. If you are an exchange student coming for a short period of time, you can study on visa. The study permit is not a requirement at that point. So upon arrival, receiving your physical study permit, please make sure to send a copy to study@viu.ca. We have to see that copy in your student record. So travel requirements. Before packing up all your stuff, So I would recommend you to come to, check at VIU website travel preparation information for newly enrolled students. It's very important for you to check what kind of documentation you need to prepare, and more information to travel to Canada, entry to Canada, entry requirements to Canada. You can go to government website www.travel.gc.ca and search for Canada requirements for the entry. So there is no COVID requirements anymore. Everything is lifted. You are free to enter to Canada as long as you have study permit, visa, and ETA. You're good to enter Canada without any trouble, without any problem. So reminders, if you are undergraduate students, you need to select for fall and spring semester courses simultaneously and enroll to those courses before you arrive. Otherwise, you may not find the seats in the classes. So in communication with VIU staff, please always provide your student number. Keep in mind, we have about 20,000 students. We may not be able to locate you. So therefore, a student number is important. Please don't plan to travel too early. So you need to travel at least about, a month early, not too early. Some students try to come early, like 3-4 months, and some of students wanted to work on study permit, which it would be illegal and you might be deportable. Please make sure you will come a month earlier or slightly more than 5 weeks or more if you plan to explore Canada, BC, and Nanaimo. So arriving by mid-August is a suitable timing if you're staying at VIU residences too. So immigration resources. So I would recommend you to, I'm unable to copy this information at the post. I'll ask my colleagues to post in chat box. Travel and requesting entry to Canada. So as I said, you need to go to government website and check it. And if you have questions, please shoot in email to us. That will be advising.international@viu.ca. And we have self-isolation information as well. Most likely you don't need that information because Canada lifted all those requirements already. So you are good to enter without any issues. Study permit. What if study permit application is denied? As I commented earlier in our slides, in poll questions, if you get refusal for study permit, don't panic. This is very important. Don't panic. You have two options. You can ask deferral from a university to later intake, and meanwhile, reapply for the study permit. Or you can get that IRCC visa office's refusal letter and send to International Admission Office via email study@viu.ca and request a refund. So you need to do that by August 31st. If you're asking deferral, make sure that you ask deferral before August 31st. If you are planning to ask a refund, don't delay. Ask that before August 31st. So that way you'll be safe. You can get your refund and be safe in that way. So send your questions to us through our website, international.viu.ca, International Student Services, or shoot us email advisinginternational@viu.ca. So we'll be happy to respond to your questions. Now we'll open the floor to your questions. And if you have any questions, we'll be happy to answer to your questions as best of our ability. Thank you. Michael,
Hi there. Yeah, thank you.
thank you.
I've just yeah, there's a couple of questions that I was able to answer specifically in the Q&A there, because they're quite kind of nichey questions. But then there are others that are kind of easily grouped together. So I've just arranged my responses to those, and hopefully I catch a few people in with the same grouped answer. First of all, there's a couple of people asking about families, and this is an increasing challenge, I think, as more families are coming over, people with partners, kids, pets, I mentioned earlier on, are coming over from abroad, and looking for somewhere decent to live, of course. So there's some resources that I can help you out with, but generally speaking, this does provide a little bit more of a challenge. On-campus residents don't accommodate couples, people with kids, or animals, and so you will need to look off campus. You might want to look to property management companies, although there are a number of landlords around that will be renting privately. In British Columbia, a landlord is allowed to say no to pets, however you feel about that, rightly or wrongly. So there are ways. If you do have dogs, cats, that kind of thing, just come and ask me and I can help you out with preparing your applications to private landlords. But generally speaking, maybe property management companies are the way to go. This means that you're going to hit some challenges perhaps with the application processes, some of which will be to do with your credit history perhaps, and one or two people asking about that, and also references. So if you're new to renting in Canada, and let's face it, hundreds and thousands of people are every year, then there are ways that you can strategize your applications. Online applications with property management companies, you might meet one or two fields in the application form that are hard for you to deal with, in which case, contact the PM company yourself, contact me, and I can give them a call and say, what does somebody do about this if they're not able to provide, for example, a Canadian landlord's reference? But an awful lot of landlords here are prepared for newcomers to be applying to them, especially if they're advertising for students and international students. So don't panic. There are ways around this. If, for example, somebody mentioned that they are already a homeowner, then I would mention that in your application to private landlords, because who's going to be better off, set up looking after the landlord's property when you rent it than somebody who already owns their own home and understands what that means. So there's always room for a little bit of negotiation here. And if you're really stuck, then come and ask me. But, don't panic. It's not an immovable block. If you've got no references because you're a first-time renter, and again, that's lots and lots of people, it doesn't have to be a landlord's reference. What a landlord is looking for is some kind of confirmation of your good character, ability to pay rent, dependability. Are you going to look after the property? And these are the foundation stones. So if you can get, for example, an employer's reference, or even an instructor or teacher's reference, or another professional person who can attest to your good character, this person will look after your property, they'll pay the rent on time, etc., etc., that's okay as well. Lots of people are at that point at the moment where they're, okay, so I'm number so-and-so, 120 or something on the wait list for residents, and I can see Ryan, saying, well, hang on, this Friday, you're going to do an audit. So what I'd say to people, if you're on that fence at the moment and you're thinking about, do I start leaping into the off-campus market now and looking for a private rental, perhaps hang on until the end of this week, when you guys over at Residences have done your auditing and you know where people are on the wait list, and you can advise people what's a sensible time to jump, then next week I'll be available for the dozens and dozens of emails I'm expecting from people thinking about off-campus housing. But the best time to be applying for off-campus housing is any time from now, really. But you've got to find that balance with your waitlist position at residence as well. At the very least, I would suggest get your application for off-campus housing, package ready now. Get your cover letter ready. Get your references sorted, because even after a year of staying in residences, you're going to be wanting to look off campus anyway. So have those things ready now. And then if you find next week residences isn't going to work for you, then you're ready and you can start applying to lots and lots and lots of landlords here. They're busy landlords and you may not get answers back from lots of your applications. Take heart, just keep going at it. I think, and somebody was asking about booking a meeting. Somebody did already during our session today, and I can see something popping up in my email that someone's proactively gone onto my website. If you go onto that off-campus website, go down to the bottom of every single page, there's a link to book a meeting, and that will take you through to Calendly. According to your availability and mine, you can then choose a time that suits you, and I'm happy to Zoom with anybody. I think that covers everything. Thank you.
Mohammed, do we have any questions in common questions?
We do have a very important question from the student, and the feeling pattern here, the finding.
We are not hearing you, Mohammed. So
How about now?
it's better.
Okay. Students involved in the question, if they don't see vision on their application, within a reasonable time, what should they do?
I think it's for audio, Mohammed. It's so I'm just checking a Q&A box. As an international students, we automatically get the second language credits and don't have to take any course in that area, right? No, do those credits semester class load and do I pay for them? If this question is coming from exchange students usually come to the second or third semester. They don't take ESL classes. I mean, English as a second language classes. So you don't have to. Those courses required from your institution, you'll be taking those courses. What if I can't find accommodation in time anymore? Michael, I think this question for you.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm hoping that this is nobody, but traditionally there's a couple of people or so who are really stuck. Perhaps you get your paperwork through at the last minute and you have to jump on a flight and get over here. In order of budget preferences, really, there are cheaper options. There's 1 or 2 hostels in town. Youth services have rooms. There's 1 or 2 establishments, non-profits that I know of locally that can offer cheap options, not the smartest places in the world, but a roof over your head. And then if you've got a bit more of a budget, you're looking at things like Airbnbs, local hotels, with whom I've got connections, for example, with the local Airbnb collective, and also with some hotels, like I mentioned, who are able to offer cheaper deals. It might be worth your while, booking for 1 month with a hotel, because the saving of money in the end will be actually more economical, than just booking a couple of weeks, actually. So let me know. Don't panic. But if it is looking like you've nowhere at the last minute, I can point you in the direction of 1 or 2 people.
Yeah, I see from chat box here. So I hope my colleagues answered to this. My visa is still being processed. What would happen if I still don't receive it before the international orientation? Just please let us know to advise us through advising.international@viu.ca. Please keep us informed. If in case your study permit is not, coming on time, then I would recommend request deferral before August 31st. I think, going to change. So I'm just reading here, Daniela asking question. I'm now at 116. I don't think my number is going to change that much, which means I am probably not going to get a dorm, which worries me because then I would have to start looking for housing off campus. So Michael, would you be able to respond to this question?
Beg your pardon, I was just responding to a cafeteria question. What was the...
So Daniela says that she's in the waitlisted number 116,
yeah,
and she's wondering if she should start to search off-campus housing.
Sure. Yeah. So we were talking about, first of all, number one, hang on till the end of this week. Rayan and the residence team are going to be auditing and reordering their wait list at the end of this week, if I'm correct. And then next week, everybody should have a good idea exactly what their refreshed and realistic waitlist number is. It's not an exact science because, if you're number 30, you might be thinking, well, I don't know, am I going to get a chance to get into residence or not? So what I would say is, wait until the beginning of next week, but as insurance against the future, start preparing your off-campus housing application stuff now. Start drafting a cover letter, start getting your references organized. You're going to need them in the future anyway. So I hope that makes sense. I think it's just a slight waiting game of a few days at the moment.
Another question in that area, Michael. What about if I don't, Denise asking, what about if I, wait, it's gone. So 1 second, so many questions are coming. So I lost it. Denise, I lost the question. Sorry, Michael, I lost it. I cannot find it.
Yeah, sorry, I don't see it either. Perhaps Denise would be able to put that in.
I can see here another question. I'm
bottom.
traveling with my spouse and 3-year-old kid. We don't have Canadian credit history. How can we rent an apartment?
Sure. I was mentioning about this earlier on. I mean, there's lots of things that people won't necessarily have about coming to Canada for the first time. If they're coming to Canada for the first time, for example, the credit history, for example, the references. So as a kind of catch-all answer, the community here, the renting community, the landlord community are accustomed and used to international students and families coming to the town. So I'd talk to the individual property management company if that's the way you're going, or the individual landlord. For the landlords, credit history is about your ability to pay the rent, your dependability. So there may be other ways of letting them know it's reasonable that landlords have some proof of income, like a pay stub, for example. But if you're comfortable, sharing an edited version of, for example, a financial statement to say, this is me, this is the amount of money that we've got, and this is my budget planning. You don't have to do so, by the way, but it might be a way of helping landlords feel reassured that you are good for the rent. And in your cover letter, you'll be talking about your own work history, your own rental history at home, and references to landlords, that kind of thing. So there's no absolute hard and fast rule that landlords must be able to access a Canadian credit history. They just need to be reassured that you are good for the rent.
And as a question, Michael, what if I can't find an accommodation in time anymore? So this is more about emergency accommodation.
Yeah, I mentioned the short-term accommodation. There's links on my site there to some ideas, and then I've got one or two others that I don't publish because they're more of an emergency, route. And they've limited spaces, but they exist. So, there are always options. I think for a lot of people, the question is, do I make the commitment, from my home country? Do I send that deposit ahead? Or do I hang on, come here, get temporary accommodation, and then look? There's lots of factors at play here. First of all, temporary accommodation is almost likely in all cases to be more expensive, so it depends on your budget. Secondly, the availability of certainly sort of student landlord properties will drop off after August, September, because students have largely arrived and taken up those agreements. So but you do, in the positive way of looking at things, have the ability to go and actually meet people, and there will be a few students who haven't been able to make it over, so there'll suddenly be like a few properties around, but I would say fewer than, for example, if you're booking now. It's very hard for me to say what's the best thing to do, but if you're unsure, please book a meeting with me and I can talk you through, for example, your own personal budget, and go into depth a little bit more about what emergency and hotel type situation and costs would be here.
Someone is asking about, they're asking, tell us about a little bit about staying. So Eric is asking about homestaying. Did we cover?
Yeah, that one's quite straightforward. Homestay essentially is a separate organization, Canada Homestay Network, operate that. They've somebody on the ground, Katie, in Nanaimo, who looks after all of the hosts and making connections between hosts and guests. But you need to go to Canada Homestay, contact them, make the booking with them. It's all a separate organization. However, we link them on that site that I shared, with the residences, off campus and homestay. The only thing that I do know for sure is that Katie told me a week or so ago that July 1st was that application fee processing deadline. So I think if you apply after July 1st, that's probably not going to be an option. And of course, it depends on the availability of local hosts. So, contact Canada Homestay Network, have that conversation with them, but definitely do it in the next few days if that's your sincere direction. Yep.
I think it's time now, to say thank you to all attendees and panelists and close the webinar. I think we covered all questions. Thank you, Mohammed, for background work. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Michael. Big thank you to everybody. Thanks again. Bye-bye now.